because, he's been trying to do something.
Yep.
In Cabo for years.
And it was Kari who found it. She had said,
right,
let's take a trip to Catalina Island today. He said, okay. And then they ended up filming the whole show there, which was wild. Now, this move I thought was a very strange move of the night. Playing Little White Lie. Now, that was the song that he wrote as sort of a nasty ribbing to Eddie when he got kicked out of the band. Why that song? That was an odd choice, didn't you think?
Well, lyrically, I get where you're coming from, but if he wants a little of a slight bluesy turn.
Yeah, no, I love the song. I love the song.
That's the way. Yeah. That's the way to go.
And like Dave said, Rick Springfield came out, did Jesse's Girl. They did I've Done Everything for You, and I actually think Rick Springfield does a crazy good job with that song. And I thought this was kind of a funny moment. Sammy Hagar said, "Rick's my new drinking partner. His manager doesn't like me, but he's going to get used to me." And I was like, oh shit! I can't believe he said that.
What does that mean?
What the hell was
that mean?
That was odd. And then they gave the mic to Kevin Cronin, did Roll with the Changes. I thought Mikey fit in really good on those REO harms right back there. That was really nice. Yeah, and that was kind of cool. And Kevin celebrating his recent birthday just a couple of days before the show. Then they showed some side stuff of Sammy going through the Catalina Museum and the band going through the Avalon Casino room there and stuff like that.
Yeah, on one hand, that stuff was interesting to learn about the island.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it kind of disrupted the flow of the show.
I totally agree with you. I think that's absolutely the truth. There was obviously a serious moment in the show when we mentioned earlier that he did a moment of silence for Eddie. He didn't even mention his name except Mike screamed out, "Eddie, we love you." He says, there's a moment of silence. You know why. That's what Sammy said. And then Mike said, "We love you, Eddie." And then they went into Right Now. It was sort of interesting to have that moment of silence and then the keyboards to Right Now starting. It was a very sort of chilling moment. And Right Now, they said it's a celebration of reality. Right now, we're having a party in Catalina, and it says this music will live forever. And then they shouted, "Double shot of VH. Let's go back to 1986. So he finally gets the date right. They go
right. I was so happy when...
Right.
When that happened.
Incredible. Then they went into Why Can't This Be Love, and Mike took a verse on that. Then they went into heavy metal, and they turned things up a bit, and Mike took a verse on that, and Vic took a third verse, which he has good voice, Vic. So
Vic did a lot of singing on that song.
Vic is the MVP of that band. He does a lot of stuff fill in and behind the scenes. Then they went off and did Mas Tequila, and they didn't call it Mesquila, Dave. They actually did the original Mas Tequila version. Vic's got a crazy hot solo.
You know
there.
what? Yeah. Mike had a crazy intro.
Yep.
To that song.
Yep.
But they really didn't have the camera on him when they were starting the song. And I was kind of like, oh, come on, can't this guy get any respect?
I know.
For like 10 seconds, because you could hear the bass line. And I was like, wow, Mike is really bringing it on for this song.
Right.
But then him and Sam started messing with drinks and stuff like that. And then they got into the song. But that was like a Mike bass highlight for me, was the intro to that song.
Right, absolutely. So then, they're obviously, fighting the darkness because they want to get everything in before it starts getting dark. Then they close the show with Affirmation from the latest album, A Space Between. And I thought it was a really nice cap at the end, even though it was like a new song to add at the end. I thought this circle sounded fantastic. Standing said we're going to come back and do 4 to 5 shows a year. He wanted us to play that ballroom that he was talking about earlier on.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
We'll see if that happens.
We'll see.
They brought out a red guitar cake, and they sang Happy Birthday to Sammy, and they started tossing chunks of cake into the crowd, which is weird.
Oh, yeah. I was like,
that was bizarre.
Tossing it into the ocean.
Yeah, that was
okay.
absolutely. Yeah, I know. It's absolutely. Sammy says, it's my birthday every day for the rest of my life. And now this was funny. Right. So I'm watching the show, and I'm seeing the credits go by, and they're just doing like a little noodling backstage, and I see that the set list runs, and it says Eagles Fly, and I said, shit.
I caught the same thing.
Yeah, and then I said, they must have cut that. And so then, this is interesting. So as a note comes on the screen, a black screen, white writing says, "This was from rehearsal, not intended to be in the actual show, but due to the unfortunate, untimely death of a loved one, I wanted to include it in the concert. R.I.P. Sammy." And then Sammy comes on. He says, "I dedicate the song to Mr. Eddie Van Halen. I wrote the song when I first joined Van Halen." And he played Eagles Fly on the electric guitar, and then the band came in and really, filled out the song. And I thought that was sort of a nice little tribute. They did a nice little tribute to Mike shouting out Ed, doing the moment of silence into Right Now, the Eagles Fly thing. I think they tastefully handled it, don't you think?
No, they did.
Yeah.
They did. It didn't overwhelm the show.
Right.
But yeah, you could tell when he said when they were doing that moment of silence for Right Now, that's when it hit them. I had done Van Halen songs before that and after that, but then it was more like a celebration. I mean, because Ed had just passed away. I think it was like 2 days before.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can only imagine like what's going through their heads while they're doing this.
Yeah.
But like I said, overall, it was a good show. They did a great job. I know Sam and Mike probably had a lot on their minds while they were doing it. But
Absolutely.
It was cool, and like we said, it was just beautifully filmed, just impeccably gorgeous.
Now, here's a question, Dave. Do you think he releases a DVD, a live CD from this?
No.
No? Really?
Well, no, because I don't think anybody's releasing live DVDs anymore.
Yeah, I guess so, but
I don't. No. You know why, Dave? Because isn't there like another show he did a few years ago?
Yes, he did.
That was like a one-shot.
Yes, it was. Well, no, he did Red Till I'm Dead, which is, I'm still trying to find that goddamn thing.
Well, wasn't that thing like you went to the theater for like a day or something like that? You saw it in the theater? Like same, and like that hasn't come out.
I know.
Right? I think it's going to be the same type of thing.
I really think Sammy needs to do a birthday box set. I'm sure he's got through the years like some of the best of the birthday shows or something like that. But I thought overall they had a nice healthy portion of Van Halen. I'm so glad they didn't do When It's Love. You know what I mean? Obviously, I appreciated the addition of Good Enough, and obviously you're going to get the Why Can't This Be Love and finish what you started. But Pound Cake, Right Now were awesome. They sounded great. Good Enough sounded great. It was all kind of nice. I thought they had a good amount of. And I love the Sammy choices, man. I loved hearing Your Love Is Driving Me Crazy and hearing Little White Lie.
Yeah, it was a decent set list. Decent performance. It was good. It was well done. It was worth the $20 or whatever we paid.
And for Dave to open up that wallet and get that $20 out there, wow, that was a miracle in and of itself.
It was.
It was.
That's true.
And now David Lee Roth appeared on the CBS News Sunday morning. They did like a little segment on his Sumiya, I guess they call it, which is the Japanese freehand style of drawing with the special ink that they make in Japan. And they kind of focused on his new hobby and said that he studied for 2 years in Tokyo. They went to his house and did this whole thing, and Dave was interesting. He was looking like he had like a shaggy mop top type of thing, and he was all in his overalls with all the paint swabs all over him. He says that he's always used his celebrity for travel. He says, let's go and get into it. They say, well, are you retiring from the road? And he says, well, I'm in my 45th year now. And he says, it's kind of great to see me, but not every year. Kind of like family. That was sort of interesting. And he talked about what his whole soggy bottoms that he does, all these drawings that he does on social media. He says, my visual art is complaining. It's graphic therapy. I say through my graphic art what every folk likes to say to their TV set when you actually don't think anybody's listening. You're just sort of screaming at the TV. He also said that he always wanted to get a giant boat and like sail around the world. So he's sort of just an interesting, eclectic, crazy dude. You have to see him talk about this. He's so fucking funny. He talked about his years doing the EMS training, and he says, I wasn't somebody until I put on that uniform. And he goes, no one calls 911 to wish you happy Hanukkah.
He really has a high level of respect for when he was doing that.
He's quite a character. Now, SNL did a little small Eddie Van Halen tribute on the week Eddie passed. The host was comedian Bill Burr. During the Gnights, he wore a Van Halen t-shirt, and he said, "Rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen." Jack White was the artist who played, and he played a Wolfgang guitar. And they also played a clip of Eddie on SNL playing a Stompin' 8H with G.E. Smith and the Saturday Night Live Band from 1987 when Val hosted the show. So that was sort of interesting. We also had another Van Halen death, Dave. We shouldn't let this go by, as Mark Stone died. The original Van Halen bassist died on September 26th from cancer. Kind of bone-chilling, just days from when Eddie passed. Mark was with Van Halen back in 1972 when he was playing with Ed and Al prior to David Lee Roth even getting into the band. They were in a trio called Genesis, if you can believe it or not. He was there through the incarnation of Mammoth and the backyard parties, through the hundreds of cover tunes that they played at that famous party that had to be broken up by the police helicopter. In 1974, he parted ways with the band, and they hired Michael Anthony. He said that he couldn't keep up with them. So what do you make of Mark Stone passing?
Yeah, it was like a precursor to Ed passing. You can find some of like the early demos. He's on some of those.
Right.
And he had created the first Van Halen logo.
Oh, right, the one that looks like a roller skating version of it, yeah.
Kind of, sort of. I mean, not the one on Van Halen 1, but the one they had been using when they were a club band.
It's like it was written in an ice cream shop or something, you know what I mean? It's like with those long, like extended things.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, you could read about him in Greg's book, Van Halen Rising, so he's...
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For sure,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, Sammy and the Circle did another at-home sessions, number 10, with Sympathy for the Human. And here's a clip. And they were all playing remotely. Now, Dave, was it me, or was this the studio version? Were they actually playing live?
No, they were, because and I'll tell you why. I know that. Because I wasn't that familiar with the song, so I went back to listen to the studio version.
Okay. So
it is. They're not air guitaring and lip syncing over the studio version.
Okay. Well, this is from Sammy's 1999 Red Voodoo album, which is the second album after he left Van Halen. It was very good, I thought. Underrated song. Not a lot of attention paid to that song, so they shine a light on that. You know, whenever they had each guy in a circle, whenever they started doing a solo or playing, they would highlight their name in red. So there's all kinds of cool effects happening with the at-home sessions. What did you think of this, Dave?
Yeah, I don't know. That song the song is like okay. As a song selection, I thought they could have done better. I don't think it's one of Sammy's better songs. I mean, lyrically, it's perfect for the times. But musically, I was just like, meh, I don't know. It wasn't one of the better ones that they've done.
Right. Speaking of meh, David Crosby got a shit ton poured on him. When asked his opinion of Eddie Van Halen, David Crosby tweeted, meh. And this meh was the meh heard around the world because everybody dumped on him from Tracy Guns to Dee Snider. And I tell you, it was unbelievable. What David Crosby said, he says, Hendrix changed the world of guitar. Nobody else really. Look, I get it. Many of you loved Van Halen. And the one time I met him, he was nice. And he was talented. Meh to me means I don't care that much. And I don't. Doesn't mean he wasn't good, but he was not for me. So now fans wanted to rip this guy a new one, especially, you know, everybody loves Eddie and David Crosby, man. I tell you, he would have. Listen,
I think apparently he had issued like
I know,
an apology after.
Yeah,
the
but
fact.
then he said
realize...
I forgot Eddie died.
Right.
Come on.
Right.
Come on.
Well. He did a lot of drugs in his time, you know. So I mean, the other thing you got to realize is, you know, his own son passed away Or his own child passed away earlier this year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true. Well, listen, I have nothing against David Crosby, but if you're not a fan, I mean, but just, to say meh. I mean, my mom doesn't listen to Van Halen, but she's not going to say meh. I mean, it's like, I don't play golf. I don't watch golf. But Tiger Woods was unbelievable. So, I mean, I would never say meh. I mean, if you want to say meh to golf, like you're not into golf, that's fine.
I think he got caught in
he got caught in the web.